Oh, says I'm live. There we go. It's 6 seconds. Ooh, we could have played a whole Napalm Death song by now. Cool. All right. Hey, welcome to the live stream. My name is Matthew, coming to you from Upcycles PDX, a very tiny bike shop. You can see the whole thing. Oh, I got my tree stand in the way. That's pretty much the whole bike shop. That's my bike in the stand there. There's a little bit more over here. But here in Portland, Oregon, professional bicycle mechanic, been doing this for 10 years, essentially, and just here to spread some information and see if I can, I don't know, find an audience or something. But so far, none. Welcome all 0 of you. I'm up to 3 subscribers. If you're one of those 3, thank you so much. And I don't know, tell your friends, leave a comment. Hit the like, hit that subscribe, hit the bell notification. Call your congressman and tell them that I deserve $1 million. Whatever. Okay, but so if you saw my thumbnail, we're talking about bicycle stems today. I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. One is I thought it'd be a relatively short thing, and I think I can get this done in like 15 minutes or something, maybe less. And I've seen it done wrong a lot, especially just 2 bikes I worked on lately. One of them I have the customer partner in front of me, and the other one, which like in that case, like the rider did their own adjustment and did it incorrectly, and it's not intuitive. Like this is no shade on a person who's done it wrong. Lots of people do it wrong. If nobody had ever shown me the correct way to do it, I'm trying to fix my hair. I don't know how I want it to be. Did it make it worse? I don't know. If nobody had ever shown me how to do it, I don't know that I would be doing it correctly either. It's not super intuitive. It is a thing that you commonly need to do. If you buy a new bike and you put it together yourself, I've talked in some of my other videos about direct-to-consumer brands such as Rad Power, Aventon, State, Blix, Canyon, Electric. Did I say Rad Power? I hope I did. It's like kind of the first one I say. But there's like at this point there's really like a lot of direct-to-consumer brands. A lot of those I just named are e-bike brands, but they like Aventon now, as far as I know, only does e-bikes. But they started doing like I think fixed gears mostly, and like doing non-electric bikes. And like State does non-electric bikes that are direct-to-consumer. Canyon seems to have like quite a bit of market share doing direct to consumer, like mostly road and gravel bikes, to my knowledge. Maybe they do some mountain bikes as well, but I don't really see those around. But I've never really been in the mountain biking world. I see gravel riders and road riders just around in my community, but yeah. So there's a lot of brands that are sending you bikes. It is very, very common for the stem to not come. Well, basically for the handlebar, there's different setups. There's somewhere like the stem might not be on at all. There's somewhere the stem is on the steerer tube, but it's not on the handlebars. And then there's other things out there, but it's really common that you have to put your handlebars into your stem, and for a wide variety of bikes. And I've seen it done incorrectly. It's not surprising why it's done incorrectly. It's not intuitive how you do it, but it's not that hard to do it either to do it correctly. And I think showing you that might add some value to somebody's life. So I have 2 stems here. They're both articulating stems. One is black and one is silver. The 2 most common colors of bicycle components. What I want to show you on the black one, and I don't know, that shows up pretty well. So if we look, so this came off a customer's bike, and no shade against that customer. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to focus up, right? But if you look right here, you might be able to see that that's cracked, versus like if we compare it to the other side here, that's solid black the whole way apart. If you look at that one, you can see this little like sliver there. There's a crack in the aluminum, and if you look on this side, it's even more pronounced there. Talking about over here, there's that crack right there, right by the end of my finger. Versus if you look at that one, sorry, I'm not great. I'm still learning like how to orient myself relative to the camera. But you can see on that one there's no damage, and then if you look there, you can see that damage. So this one was a takeoff from a bike. I think I know what bike this is from, but I'm not positive, so I'm not going to say. But this one is not damaged, so this one's good to go. And this style is called a 4-bolt because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. Same on the other one. Oop. Same on the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this part that I'm touching with my hand here and moving, that's called the faceplate. And your handlebars go in here, and then that clamps down on it. This is an articulating style stem. They both are. Reasonable people can disagree. A lot of mechanics don't like this style because they wear out. They wear out here at the parts that hold it together. But a lot of customers like them, and a lot of bike companies come with them because it's pretty easy to adjust your height. I'm not really going to get into that in this video, but we could. But basically, you've got 3 fasteners here, one on each side of this that you tighten against each other, and then this here that locks in place and holds it where you put it. So that lets you put your handlebars up, put your handlebars down, put them somewhere in the middle. And then these clamp onto the steerer tube of the bike. And then just to complicate things, this one also has your top cap. You can't really tell, but your top cap is integrated in here. You can see there's a bolt coming through there, where this one doesn't. So this would just go onto your steer tube on your fork, and then your top cap will go in here with a bolt that you use to tighten it down to get a good headset adjustment. A good headset adjustment is one where it turns smoothly without play, or as smoothly as possible without play. But we're not going to get into all of those details. We're assuming you have a bike that the stem's already on, but the faceplate either isn't on or is on like this without the handlebars in it. So you got to get the handlebars in. And then, so you got to take your bolts off. And then I have kind of a weird pair of handlebars here. They're mine. They're on a bike that I'd set up for a sort of cargo and touring applications years ago. And then I thought I was going to sell that bike, and then so I took them off. And then when I was like tuning it up to get it ready to sell, I realized that I'm too in love with this thing to sell it. And so, but I never put it has different handlebars on it now. And then I put them on a different bike and I took them off of that one because I am selling that bike. And I like them. So they're these bars. They're very funny looking. I've heard them called trekking style handlebars. I've also heard them called like butterfly style handlebars. Brompton has a similar product that they orient, I think, kind of like this, or that they used to, that they call it, maybe it was like that they call it the P style handlebar. But I don't know. Call it whatever you want. I like trekking handlebar. But so these, this is where you clamp the stem. And then these just give you like a lot of different hand positions. And you can see that I've had bar wrap on here before, and there's like some residue from it. You can kind of put these, you can put them that way or that way, and then you can angle them like kind of a wide variety of ways. But really, they just give you a lot of hand positions. So most of the time, you're probably going to ride here or kind of here to rest, when you're going for a while. But if you really want to like get like head down and like truck, you can put them up there. But a lot of the time you're going to be here or here. But that's really not that important. What is important is we get our stem. And I'm going to hold this weird. You wouldn't be doing it like this on a bike, but you get so these are knurls, these lines here. And yeah, I need a better camera or one that like focuses on its own or something. But these are knurls here. That is where you put your stem. That's where you're going to clamp it. And then you put your faceplate on and get your bolts in. And we're going to talk about how this should look as it's coming together. So I skipped over something, but I didn't forget. We're going to deal with it now. You can kind of just watch how I'm doing this. Right now, I'm just loosely setting this up. This is not any kind of like final adjustment. I'm just getting it. You didn't see that. I'm just, I'll edit that one out later. But I'm just getting this. So these 4 bolts, they're not tight. I don't want to get them tight yet, but I'm just getting them to where they're in, and they're snug enough that I can put this handlebar like where I want it, and it's gonna more or less hold there. And then just a couple details. No, I want it this way. I think it's going to be really hard to read it, but right here, right in there, right there, there's a little bit of text. And I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to make that clear. You can almost read it right there. But so that first number says 25.4. You can almost tell. That says 25.4. And then the second line below it, I can't read at all there. The 25.4 I can kind of read, but I can turn it around this way and just look at it. It says max 6 Nm. Nm is the abbreviation for Newton meters. It's a measure of torque. My understanding is a Newton is like a measure of weight. A meter is obviously a measure of distance. 1 Newton over 1 meter is 1 Newton meter. So you can increase torque, I guess, 2 ways. One is by applying more force on the same length of lever, and then the other is applying the same amount of force on a longer lever. But so this lever is, in theory, 1 meter long and has 6 newtons of force, or like 6 newtons of weight on it. But the 25.4, that refers to the diameter of the clamp portion of the stem. 25.4 is extremely common. 26.0 is out there. I wouldn't say it's extremely common. I think the main places you see it is on like track bikes, because it's the NJS standard, which I don't know what that stands for, but it's like the Japanese like track governing body for like Keirin racing, like the flashy, cool track bike races that people bet on. And then and they have like a lot of restrictions as to like how the bikes can be spec'd. And I believe they require a 26.0. And then I think I could be wrong about this. I think French bikes had a phase where they were 26.0, but I don't know if that's still really a thing anymore. Most of the French bikes I ever see are older bikes that were like sold in this country in like the 70s or 80s or whatever. A lot of Peugeots. That bike in my stand earlier is an old Peugeot from I think like 71 or 72 or something. And they're cool, but anyway, there's nothing standard on that bike anymore. But I don't know where I heard this. I think maybe at UBI or something. They said that the French industry at one point tried to standardize things around metric standards. 25.4 obviously is like kind of an awkward standard. Like, why would you do 0.4 of something? The reason is 25.4 millimeters is 1 inch. So this is really a 1 inch handlebar, but nobody in bikes calls it a 1 inch handlebar. They call it 25.4. 26.0, very similar size, often not going to be compatible with this style of stem. You might get away with it with like a quill stem, which I'm not going to grab one to show you. You can Google quill stem, Quill. Don't try it. This dummy back in the day, like 2014, spent a whole afternoon at Bike Farm experimenting. Bike Farm is a really cool community bike shop here in Portland, Oregon. If you're looking to learn more about bikes and you're in Portland, join Bike Farm. It's the best deal in town. Bikefarm.org is their website, but and you can just go be a dummy and like goof off and try a bunch of things that shouldn't work and find out why they don't work. But I ran the experiment of like, can I put a 25.4 handlebar in a 26.0 stem? Can I put a 26.0 handlebar and a 25.4 stem? I'm talking about quill stems, not this style of stem. And yeah, you with like some struggle, you might get it in, but like it's not going to have like even engagement the whole way around. It's not safe. It's not good. But that's a tangent. Oh, it's already been 15 minutes. I didn't even get into the real stuff. I just talk too much. But anyway, what I want to show you here is we want to look at the gap between the faceplate and the rest of the stem. And we want them to be fairly even. Okay, those look pretty good already. I'm going to look at it here a little bit, and I think this one could be just a little bit tighter. And then this one could be a little bit tighter, and that one could be a little bit tighter. It's really, really important that you have, so these two gaps should be even to each other. These two gaps, hard to see there, but right there you can see those two gaps should be more or less even with each other. These gaps should be even with each other. So in all four of our bolts, we want as close as we can get it, the same amount of empty space there between the stem and the rest of the faceplate. And then we want it torqued to spec. Now you might notice I'm doing what people call like the X pattern. Ooh, that one was loose. And this is a used thing, and I don't know, so it's possible that this doesn't come together as nicely as I want it to. I'm not feeling good about that. And why would that one that already looks like it's maybe closer than the other three still be able to turn? Because this could have been done incorrectly in the past, and it could be a little bit damaged, and then it's just not going to come together quite as nicely as we want it to. But so this is important. So if you have a torque wrench, which I do, and I'm going to show you, you want to set your torque to the torque that the component gives you if it gives you a value. And so here is my torque wrench. And I just need, I'm going to have to get like better cameras and stuff if I'm going to get serious about this. But you can kind of tell that I'm at 6 there. Maybe you can't. That's okay. Just trust me, I'm at 6. And then you just turn. Oh, that turned more than I thought. But so I turned to that one. And I'm going to jump to this one. That turned. I'm going to go back up to the top. So I went 1, 2, and I'm going to go here 3. This is the one I have the most concern about. And yeah, that didn't go. And then 4. So I had gone 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to start over. 1. Did you hear that click? That is my torque wrench telling me I'm at torque. 2. This is the one I'm worried about. 3. It's fine. 4. And so that's it. It's done. But let's look at that. So this might not be exactly how I did it, but you're doing something like 1, 2. This is so hard with the, I'm just going to look here. 1, wait, but we got to get it where you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So people call that like making an X or crossing because you're going like 1, then 2. So I crossed over the stem like that, and then we go back up to where we started. So we started at 1, so now we're at 3, 4. So again, doing that X across, going from 3 to 4. The point of that, and then I kind of glossed over this, but you're making small adjustments at a time. So like quarter turn and eighth turn. But if you set them up visually, that they all looked roughly even. And I don't know if I'm totally happy. I could do this a little bit better, but it's pretty dang close. So if you did it right, excuse me again, that they're all totally even, then I should be able to do even turning till I hit my torque. So like quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, or really more like eighth turn, eighth turn, eighth turn, eighth turn. And then just to explain in case we don't know, so a quarter turn would be like that, right? 90 degrees. So an eighth turn would be like that, like 45 degrees. But so you're doing even turning across. What I want to point out to people though is I think people get trained on like the X, or like they read that on, they see a YouTube video, or they read it on like Reddit or bike forums or something. Oh yeah, you want to do them in an X, and they think that that's the whole thing. It's like, as long as I did them in the X pattern, I'm done. But not if you started with them uneven. It's not going to come out right. And then what you want to avoid, and this is why that one is damaged. So I'm loosening 2 of these. And I'm actually going to take my handlebars out of here because I don't have like a plan for this stem, but I don't want to risk damaging it if I don't have to, just for the sake of like a YouTube live stream that nobody watches. That would be foolish. How valuable is this stem? Not very. It's like a used thing that when, yeah, I mean, brand new, this, I honestly don't know what these articulating stems go for brand new, but I would think not more than like $60. And I think possibly less, but I could be wrong about that. They might be $60. It might be 75. I really don't know. But so I'm doing this without the faceplate. What's nice about this, so that's how you would get these in and out of the quill stem. You slide them out and you kind of rotate them as you go. I said that as I was bending over. But with a faceplate, what's nice about it is this thing comes all the way off. So you don't have to get your handlebars through it. So if you have your brake levers and your shifters and bar wrap or grips or whatever, a cell phone holder, a bell, a GPS mount, whatever else you might have on there, you have to take all that stuff off. You just can go straight on and off the handlebar. And also for some handlebars, like BMX handlebars that have like that extra support beam or stuff, you can't feed that through a stem anyway. You need a faceplate that comes all the way off and comes all the way back on. But here's what you want to avoid. So you want to avoid something like this, where, as you can see, this side is all the way down and then this side is off. So like something like that. So I've got no gap on this side and I've got a huge gap on this side. Or you could do it the other way, maybe, in theory. Yeah. So not exactly a huge gap, but yeah, you get the idea. So there's no gap there, right? Those are basically just right against each other, and then all the gap is on here. And then you could, I see both. Either the top is all the way in, and there's a big gap on the bottom, or the bottom is all the way in, and there's a big gap on the top. In theory, you could probably also get it like crooked like this, where like, the one side is closer than the other. You don't really see that though. But how does that happen? I assume how people are doing that is they're putting them in, they're tightening one side down all the way, and then the other side they might not even have the bolts in. And then on the other side, so you get this tightened down. And this is a problem just on its own, just because you don't have, like, even when you have those even gaps, like I showed you previously, you get like a nice grab the whole way around that handlebar, and your handlebar's not going to slip. And handlebar slipping is like a very real risk, and you could get hurt. Like if you're going fast on a bike and like a lot of your weight is on your handlebars, especially if you're like up out of the saddle, going, and you're banking into a turn, you're putting a lot of your body weight onto those handlebars. So if they slip, you might fall. You might fall right off the bike and hit your head and have a bad day and wish you'd never gotten on that bike and wish you'd watched more YouTube videos. And but you are watching this video in theory, if you heard me say that. So you're not going to do that. But so you don't want that. You don't want one side all the way down and the other side loose, because one, you might not have good contact there, and it could just slip on you as you're riding. But two, if you start like that, with one side is way down and the other side's back, then when you're trying to like get the other side tightened down, this faceplate is just aluminum. It's not. It's the same stuff like my Sprite can is made out of. By the way, shout out to Sprite. Shout out to the 7-Eleven across the street here, best 7-Eleven in America. but aluminum's a very soft metal. Unless you're literally like a 4-year-old watching this, like you have enough strength in your body to damage aluminum. It's just not. It's like totally strong until it's like forced, and then yeah, you can break it. And so going back to our damaged stem, uh, that's what happened here. Is this side? I believe this side was all the way down. I need a different wrench for this one because they're M4 instead of M5. Or that's not right. These are M5 bolts, but it's a 4mm head. The other are M6 bolts with a 5mm head. But so it's not going to let me show you now. But if you have one side down all the way, and then the other side's loose and it's too loose, and then you're trying to force it down, that's where that aluminum, it's just gonna give up. Can you see that? Right, and then you might get it tight enough there. You can clearly see the crack by my finger here on that side. So you might get it tight enough that it holds, but you've compromised the stem now. And again, if we're looking at this, this is really not a lot. Let me get this all the way out of here so you can see. It's not a lot of material here. It's a couple millimeters thick in any direction. At its thinnest, it's like maybe 1.5 millimeters. Geez, I'm so bad at this. But you can see, I mean, you can kind of tell that hole is actually like wallowed out. It's kind of ovalized. Whoops, I'm on the wrong one. So it should be like a nice circle, and it's kind of an oval. It's kind of pulled apart. And that's from trying to force that together when the other, and really what needed to happen there, this side needed to be loosened so that they were more even, and then that side could be tightened down safely. And again, nice even movements, controlled movements will prevent that. But so they might have for a time gotten that to a place where it was holding, but now the thing is fundamentally compromised. And so again, you're putting a lot of weight on that. It's going to give. It's already broken. It's going to give. And if that hole just wallows out, what's holding your handlebars on? Nothing. What's keeping you from crashing your bike? Nothing. God, the Holy Spirit, your own triumph of the. No, I'm not going to say that expression. Whatever. I think that's like a Nazi propaganda movie. I was about to reference, but now I told you that was the thing. I've never seen the movie. Even if I had, so what? Maybe I'm a student of history, but I'm really losing my train of thought here. I'm sorry. I'm like way off on some ridiculous tangent about the triumph of the will, but whatever. Oh, yeah. If the thing breaks, nothing's holding you together. You could just crash the bike and it's going to stink. And it really is like just a small amount of aluminum that can be the difference between you crashing your bike or not. So we want to take it seriously. We want to do it correctly. And so if you're putting a bike together, pay a lot of attention to this little detail. You want nice, even gaps. Oh, as I say that, I don't have them. Where's my... Okay, here's what's up. This one. That looks a little bit better. But nice, even gaps there. Top and bottom, side to side. Nice, even gaps between the faceplate and the rest of the stem. And when you're tightening that down, you want to be doing equal movements. The X pattern isn't actually essential so long as you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. It really doesn't matter. People will disagree with me on that. I've run the experiment. Do the X, don't do the X. It doesn't really matter. The thing that's important is that you're turning the same amount on each fastener, and you should arrive at your torque at the same point or very close to it on all 4 of those bolts. What if you don't have a torque wrench? Great question. Excuse me. So for me, a little old lady at the community cycling center taught me this way that she checks torque. This was back in back in 2014, and I'm going to do this without a stem in here, and it's just going to kind of work. So what I just did is, or it's going to work for demonstration purposes, even though it's not, right? So all of those are more or less snug. Okay, so now let's say we want to tighten this one down. There's no handlebar in here, so there's no gap. So what I'm demonstrating now is not proper stem. It's just how to bring something to torque when you don't have a way of measuring your torque. So this is the one I'm tightening down. So I'm going to my wrench, I'm going to apply force. I'm going to gradually increase the amount of force that I'm applying until I feel it doesn't want to go anymore, and then I'm done. So I'm tightening it, I'm pushing a little bit harder. It's getting a little bit harder. I'm kind of walking out to the edge of my thing. I'm pushing a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. It doesn't want to go anymore. Like I'm pushing pretty hard. It doesn't want to go. That's it. I'm done. Never, ever, 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 ever on really almost anything on a bicycle. Occasionally, like brake torque when you're getting something off, you might do something like this, but don't do this. If you're smart, if you're good, if you want to do it correctly, never yank on it. Never. That's like applying way too much torque way too quickly. Nice gradual movements. So I start by pushing softly. That one's loose now because this is the one I just tightened down. I'm pushing softly. It gets tighter. It gets tighter. It gets tighter. Let's get my beautiful, handsome face. Look at that chin. Who doesn't want to see my chin? But yeah, push, push, push. And you can probably tell it's not really going anymore. And I'm pushing fairly hard. And that's it. We're at torque. So again, pushing gently, it moves. So it's getting more resistance. I'm pushing harder. I don't know if you can tell that I'm pushing harder, but I am. And then it's coming to a point where like I'm pushing pretty hard at this point. It doesn't want to go. And then one more. Again, pretend that there's handlebars in here and pretend that there's a gap. Pushing harder, pushing harder. It's still going. It's still going a little bit, but there we go. I'm at this point pushing pretty hard. It doesn't want to go. So gradually increasing the pressure as you go. When you feel I want to stop, you're done. And then you can double check them. Little push, doesn't want to move. Little push, no one actually did move a little bit. A little push, and you can see I just violated the X. Little push, doesn't want to go. And then because I'm crazy, I would always start over. But that's it. We're over 30 minutes now. Just a quick review. You want to keep even gaps at all 4 points of the faceplate to the stem. You want to adjust gradually and evenly across all 4, and then you want to torque to spec, or if you're without a torque wrench, basically tighten it gradually until it doesn't want to move anymore. Never like herky-jerky movements. Never tighten one bolt or 2 bolts all the way down and then start on the other ones. All 4 bolts evenly, maintaining even gaps, torque to spec. It'll hold. You're done. If you want to test it, I'm not going to do this on a bike to show you, but just push on it, try to make it slip. If it doesn't slip, you're good to go. Thank you. Take care, and have a merry seasonal holiday.